Did you hear about Caitlin Clark's tough start in her playoff debut? Things took a turn for the worse when Dijonai Carrington accidentally poked her in the eye. Now everyone is anxious to see if Clark can bounce back for the next game, or if her season might be cut short before it really began. This was supposed to be a big moment for Clark as she stepped onto the playoff stage for the first time. However, everything changed in an instant. The hit from Carrington not only left Clark with a swollen eye, but also sent shockwaves through the basketball community. You might think a little injury isn't a big deal, but it really affected her performance. Clark's scoring plummeted from an average of 20 points per game to just 11. It's hard to believe how one incident could disrupt her impressive rookie season. This situation is bigger than just Clark and Carrington. It could change the WNBA landscape. How will the league respond? What does this mean for player safety? Stay tuned as we explore all these angles. A black eye might seem minor for a pro athlete, but for Clark, it impacted more than just her vision. Her entire game plan fell apart. Just how serious was it? Her coach had to completely change their strategy. The numbers tell a clear story about how challenging things became for Clark after that hit. Normally, she scores around 20 points, but she managed only 11 this time, a staggering 45% drop in her output. To make matters worse, her shooting percentage dropped dramatically to just 23.5%. It's like watching a top shooter suddenly lose their skills. But the struggles didn't stop there. Clark's entire game was thrown off balance. Those precise passes we expect from her turned into turnovers instead. The plays that usually came naturally became forced attempts as she tried to push through despite her impaired vision. You might be thinking, can't she just power through it? But playing basketball at this level is about more than just being tough. It requires quick thinking and sharp instincts. With one eye injured, Clark's ability to judge distances was off. It's like trying to thread a needle with one eye closed. That's the kind of challenge she faced on every play. Clark's injury sent shockwaves through the entire Indiana Fever team. Coach Christy Sides found herself in a tough spot. The game plan they had carefully prepared over the last few days suddenly became useless, forcing them to adapt quickly since their star player was now performing at only half her usual capacity. Can you imagine how this affected Clark and her teammates emotionally? This was supposed to be her big playoff moment, a chance to shine and show off her skills. Instead, she was just trying to keep pace. You could see the frustration on her face every time a shot missed or a pass went astray. What's really fascinating is that this situation didn't just reveal Clark's physical challenges, it also highlighted her mental toughness. Even with one eye nearly shut, she kept fighting. She didn't back down or leave the game. That kind of determination is what sets apart the great players from the rest. Clark has certainly demonstrated that she has the heart of a champion, but that black eye is making the WNBA look pretty rough around the edges. The league really needs to figure out how to keep its star players safe without sacrificing the intensity of the game. What's going on here? It feels more chaotic than competitive. Remember when we thought making a three-pointer was the hardest part of basketball? The WNBA is facing a much bigger challenge now. They need to find a way to protect players like Clark while still delivering the exciting gameplay that fans love. It's like trying to defend without committing fouls. Sounds simple, but it's actually quite difficult. If the league continues down this path of physical play, they risk alienating new fans who might not be used to the WNBA's style, especially since expectations differ between men's and women's sports. So, what will happen with Carrington? There's talk of fines, suspensions, or maybe even both. We've seen similar situations before, like when Brittany Griner faced suspension for an on-court altercation. The WNBA acted quickly then, but here's the thing. Every choice has consequences. If they crack down too hard on physical play, could we end up with a watered-down version of the game we love? Just look at how things are right now. This isn't about coddling anyone, it's really about aggression and safety. You might think the referees could just call the game more strictly. Sure, but that would lead to a whole new set of problems. Imagine a game where every little touch results in a whistle. It would turn into a free throw contest instead of basketball. On the flip side, if they let too much go, we could see more incidents like what happened to Clark. It's a tricky balancing act, and the league is under pressure. This situation isn't just about one game or one player, it's a pivotal moment for the WNBA. With stars like Clark drawing in new fans and attention, there's also significant significant pressure to keep them healthy and on the court. What's really fascinating is that how the WNBA handles this situation could set a standard for basketball as a whole. This isn't just about women's basketball. It could have implications across all levels of the sport. As one analyst pointed out, it raises broader questions about the future of the WNBA. How do you maintain excitement and intensity without putting your star players at risk? Is there a racial element? Are black WNBA players showing bias against Caitlyn? Think the drama is over? Not yet. The next game could really heat things up. With Clark's playing status uncertain, both teams are scrambling to adjust their strategies. And here's the twist. This game could change everything for the season. The big question on everyone's mind is whether Clark will play. If she does, you can bet she'll be wearing some serious eye protection. Not just for looks, but because it could significantly impact her performance. Imagine trying to make those signature three-pointers with your depth perception off. It would be like playing basketball underwater. If Clark decides to take the court, you can bet the Connecticut Sun will have a plan ready. They'll likely try to double team her at every chance because they know she's crucial to the Fever's success. But here's where it gets interesting. That strategy might open up opportunities for other players. It's like a game of chess, but with basketballs involved. Speaking of teammates, Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston need to be prepared to step up if Clark isn't at her best. Can they handle that pressure? That's the million-dollar question. Now let's talk about something important, the mental aspect of this situation. The Fever just lost their first playoff game and saw their star player get hurt. That's bound to weigh heavily on their minds. How do you bounce back from something like that? It's not just about getting physically ready, it requires mental toughness too. And don't forget, this next game is at home for the Fever. Can you imagine the energy in that arena? The fans will be incredibly supportive, cheering for their team as if their lives depend on it. That home court advantage could be exactly what they need. You might think it's just one game, but it goes deeper than that. This is about resilience and adapting to unexpected challenges. It's about proving your worth when things get tough. This situation is crucial for the future of women's basketball as well. Clark has been drawing crowds and lighting up social media. She's not just another player, she's become a phenomenon. But now, the WNBA stands at a critical crossroads. How do they protect their stars while keeping that edge that fans love? Think about it. How they react to this incident could change everything moving forward. Will they enforce strict rules or take a more lenient approach? Either way, their decision will set a precedent for handling similar situations in the future. This situation goes beyond just rules. It's about the kind of atmosphere the WNBA wants to foster for future players. So here's the big question. Can the WNBA strike the right balance? Can they keep the excitement of the game alive while also making sure their star players remain healthy and on the court? How they respond could change the landscape of women's basketball for good.